Konoha, top psychiatrist, fixing ninja trauma, from Tsunade to Obito. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 61. Yujib was matter of stopping the water. You can usually pay attention to it, and the treatment will be given a higher level. As for the issue of his loyalty, although they are descendants of Uchiha Kagami, the necessary precautions must still be there. So leave it to me. You can't leave it to him. After awakening the kaleidoscope chakra I, its pupil technique, Bitenjin, can directly invade the opponent's brain and modify the opponent's will without being discovered by the other party. This is even more powerful than Zabian's hypnosis. Bei Yan's hypnosis can only trap the subject in the illusion he has compiled for a short time. And the other gods of Uchiha, stopping the water, is it silent erosion, or permanent? Now Bei Yan's left eye life will replica has contained Uchiha Makoto's two pupil techniques, moon reading and spear of the soul. Don't be a god, he is also very hungry. Bei Yan, who has a wooden escape, does not need others to use other heavenly gods, and needs to wait for more than 10 years to continue chakra. He was able to fill the chakra usage of other gods in a short period of time. After discussing the affairs of the Uchiha family, Bei Yan made one last suggestion. Mikoto, Aki, it's time for you to find an assistant for yourselves. Mikoto and Aki heard this and nodded approvingly. There are many things that they can't do by themselves, and they have henchmen to do things for themselves, and their efficiency can be improved a lot. You guys remember to pick a few. Ahem, it's a little better. When the time comes, I will help you temper their pupil power and promote the kaleidoscope. That way, you can have a few more powerful helpers, Bei Yan said with a righteous face. Kamikoto's originally gentle gaze was full of murderous aura when she looked at Bei Yan. Yaji covered his small mouth, his eyes were full of smiles, and he looked like he was watching a good show. Yan, it's not enough for us, isn't it? While speaking, Mikoto threw herself directly into Bei Yan's arms. Then came another commotion. Soon, several cries of pain were heard in the room. Strangely, pain is mixed with obvious pleasure. It's really weird. Half a month passed. Bei Yan's life is simple and happy. He is openly named as the first assistant of the Hokage, but in fact, the work on weekdays is handed over to the rest of the people to complete. Because he is a Hokage assistant, Bei Yan has received wind rumors recently. I heard that countries such as the Land of Wind, the Land of Earth, the Land of Thunder, and the Land of Water are a bit of a state of impatience. Specifically, ninja drills are conducted from time to time on the border with the Land of Fire, or near the Land of Fire. Bei Yan knew exactly what this meant. Everyone is testing whether the Thousand Hands Pillar and the Thousand Hands Pillar are still there. If so, whenever one of the two shows up and says a few words in public, they will return to their hidden village as quickly as possible in their lives. What's more, if Konoha village wants to plead against them, they can also make compensation, to a certain extent. This was on the basis that they did not do anything to harm the actual interests of the Fire Nation and Konoha village. Tsunade and the others have been in a state of scorching lately. As Hokage's assistant and Hokage's seat officer, they know their own family affairs. The former nuclear weapons Senjuju and Senjuju have returned to the Pure Land, and it is impossible to call them out again in a short period of time. This completely cut off the other party's strong reaction between the Thousand Hand Pillars and the Thousand Hands when they were crazy tempted. According to Narashikahiza, they can only continue to rip off while preparing for war. All the top have a hunch. The Third Shinobi War is about to begin, and today, Bei Yan welcomed several special guests after entertaining his good students Yuri Hong and Noera Ren in the clinic on a daily basis. If it was the previous Bei Yan, it was still okay for them to come over brazenly, but now Bei Yan's identity is extraordinary. While working as a psychiatrist, he is also the first assistant of the fourth generation of Hokage. With their public arrival, it's hard not to think about whether there are 4 generations of Hokage involved in it. These people were none other than people from the Hyuga family. Hinata and the others were dressed in black robes, and in the current environment of wind and rain, lightning and thunder, it was undoubtedly the best time for a hidden visit. With the wind and rain and the thunder, Bei Yan looked at the 5 people in front of him with a nervous look with interest. When the 5 people saw Bei Yan, they all took off the forehead protector on their foreheads, revealing the bird spell mark in the cage on their foreheads. This means that all 5 of them are members of the Hyuga family, and no one from the clan is confused with them. It can be regarded as preventing the Hyuga clan from testing Bei Yan and testing Hokage in this way. In fact, there is no need to bother so much. At the first glance, when Bei Yan saw several people, he had an analysis and understanding of the hearts of the 5 people. They are all the kind of ninjas who have been treated unfairly and devastated. Well, by the way, all 5 of them are part of the pillars of Hinata's family, and their strength is all at the upper shinobi level. Lord Bei Yan, I'm disturbing you. Hinata took a step forward and respectfully faced Bei Yan's mind. Bei Yan nodded. Figured it out? Well, Hinata almost nodded, her eyes full of determination. Even the 4 people behind him were unprecedentedly resolute. There is a generous will to die if you don't succeed. Seeing this scene, Bei Yan felt that something might have happened during this time when Hinata's separation could stimulate their already numb minds. Bei Yan was curious. What happened recently when you separated? Such a sad atmosphere. Of course, there's no problem if you don't say it. When Hinata and the others heard this, their moods fluctuated a little, but as a shinobi, they quickly suppressed themselves. Episode 62. Something did happen. The child of one of our best friends, because the son of the clan patriarch lost face when he was playing tricks him, his limbs were broken, and his ninja career was ruined. And then the elder sent my friend a sum of money. Although the patriarch of the clan family, well, that is, my brother spoke up for our friend, in the end, it was only for that mongrel to be locked up for a month. The more he talked about it, the more hideous Hinata's face became. Bei Yan was shocked in his heart. When a person is hesitant, external factors will motivate him to make a choice. Hinata, who is accustomed to being inferior and has a life worse than the clan on weekdays, encounters the above things, and finally justifies for a while. After receiving a seemingly fair judgment from Hinata Hayashi, he will suppress this matter in his heart. Those who are cowardly may paralyze themselves through words such as "this is the fate of the separation." Those who have a hot personality may come to a limit when anger cannot be accumulated. Hinata's original personality was submissive, but recently, after several enlightenments by Bei Yan, his numb personality has returned to normal, and he has a normal person's worldview. In his cognition, all men are created equal. Who dares to be high? Bei Yan's words continued to stimulate his nerves, and it was almost a fuse. And the destruction of their friend's son's limbs became the last straw that overwhelmed the hesitation in their hearts. So, do you know what it costs to uncage the bird from my place? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Bei Yan's words fell, and Hinata answered without hesitation. We are willing to pay any price. Instead of being a substitute ghost of the Hyuga family, he either oppressed the other party every day or died in the mission. Then it is better to find another way to live. Even if they can't accept another way of living in the end, it's a big deal to understand it on their own. Anyway, they don't want to be the substitute ghosts of Hinata's separation anymore. At the same time, the blood relatives, the Zone family, but aimed the tip of the knife at the divided family. Clan fratricide is the most sad. Since the sect family is not benevolent, then don't blame the division of the family for being unjust. Bei Yan looked at the spirit of the several people in front of him who were almost in sync, not crazy and not a demon, silently mourning for Hinata's separation. The rules for the separation of caged birds should have been eliminated a long time ago. The whole of Konoha, just count the most cerebral palsy in the Hinata family. It has lasted for tens and hundreds of years, but it's okay. In Bei Yan's cognition, it is common for people who are separated to die with the Zone family one day. This is not only Bei Yan's opinion, the rest of the family more or less take it for granted. The Hyuga family, who has been vying for the title of Konoha's strongest family. As everyone knows, in the eyes of everyone, the Hyuga family is terminally ill. Now, Bei Yan decided that he wanted to give Hinata a new life. Well, since you are willing to pay any price, then sign this constraint. While speaking, Bei Yan took out a sealing scroll from the system space. The sealing scroll is obtained by the system check-in, and its main function is to sign the promise conditions, and when the promisor does not fulfill the agreement, the whole clan will become a puppet who obeys Bei Yan's words. This treaty has a mandatory enforcement function. Of course, Bei Yan is not a tyrant. He added a covenant that he would not unjustifiably harm the lives of the people of the Hyuga family. In addition to Bei Yan's good conduct on weekdays, not only did he not have arrogance, but he did not hurt people for no reason. Hinata convinced Katayan. With Hinata confirming with the final drop of blood, Bei Yan took the treaty back. He took out a small sealing scroll from the drawer and threw it to Hinata, who was looking at Bei Yan. Hinata opened it and saw that a big boy had tears in his eyes. The four people behind him couldn't help but step forward to check, and they were all in a turbulent mood like Hinata. Just because. Recorded on the sealing scroll is the spell-lifting spell of the caged bird. Hinata learned without hesitation. Perhaps it was talent, and of the 5 people present, only Hinata learned it. After the 5 people lifted the caged bird, they knelt directly to Bei Yan on their knees and kowed out hard. No, Bei Yan has a bit of a toothache. Are you trying to send me away by kowtowing like this? Anyway, it's all equivalent exchange, not so. As several people left, Bei Yan asked a question. Hinata, what are you going to do with your brother Hinata? Hearing this, Hinata looked at his companion, and then at Bei Yan, and said without the slightest concealment, the power of the Hyuga clan is basically concentrated in those few elders, and even my eldest brother has not even been able to grasp the spell seal. He has just become the patriarch of the clan now, and he can help me according to reason, and he also secretly helps the family on weekdays, which I am very grateful. The people of the Zone family, we can't kill them, and they can't completely obey our orders. So, my eldest brother should become an elder and be responsible for suppressing the rest of the clan members. Hinata said this, and the rest of the 4 people who had already untied the caged bird had no opinion. They all have Hinata as the core. In other words, once Hinata succeeds, it is very likely that he will become the patriarch of the Hyuga family. In the future, there will be no more divisions and sections. After speaking, Hinata hesitated for a moment. But thinking that there are too many debts, I gritted my teeth, Can I apply for assistance? Bei Yan nodded. Yes, but I don't have the spare time to help you. Hinata was first pleased, then slightly disappointed. However, those who can get the recommendation of Bei Yan should not be bad. In this way, I will introduce you to someone, and then you can meet and discuss. After finding the rescue and solving the caged bird, Hinata and the others put on black robes again and left secretly. Episode 63. Bei Yan was very satisfied with the result this time. Helper, he will not shoot himself, he will not participate in meaningless battles. Anyway, there are people under my hands. As a wind blows, the sign open at the door changes to outside. Bei Yan, who was originally sitting on the second floor, had disappeared into the office at this time. He reappeared, already in Hokage's office. At this time, there was only Tsunade in Naruto's office. It seems that he has just finished his official business and drinks fresh milk. Bei Yan's figure suddenly appeared, which did not surprise Tsunade, and even maintained his original movement, cooing and drinking the milk in the cup. I don't know if it was intentional or unintentional, a few drops slipped down the corners of the mouth. Bei Yan sighed lightly. Tsunade, you're dying. Tsunade didn't speak either, just looked at Bei Yan with defiant eyes. Facing Tsunade's eyes, how could Bei Yan tolerate it? It's just too old to break ground. After making sure that there was no dark part waiting and locking the door, Bei Yan directly educated the other party on how to be a good Hokage. Pharmacist Nona Wu, who had returned from other departments and was about to get Tsunade's signature, blushed as soon as he arrived at the door. Really, don't worry about being discovered. The dutiful medicine master Nona Wu, with the radiance of motherhood, stood at the door of Hokage's office and waited. But anyone from the dark department or the rest of the department who wanted to get close was stopped by her from 10 meters away. In the face of the ban of the medicine master Yunayu, everyone was silent. Don't look at the medicine master Nono Yu has just taken the seat of the director of the Konoha orphanage, and he is also loved by the children inside, and the whole person exudes a maternal light. Many ninjas once thought that Kushina no Yu was a very talkative person and a gentle big sister. After all, the people who know that she is a member of the original Root A spy are a small part. But the incident 3 days ago made all the cognition of the medicine master Yunayu only stay at the stage of capable, motherly feelings, and gentle big sister, completely turning around what they thought was beautiful. The cause of the incident was an orphanage child who saw a family engaged in a dirty deal. Frightened, he was accidentally discovered. Chasing and killing is naturally inevitable. Perhaps, the fact that the villain died of talking too much is very applicable in many occasions and events. I don't know what kind of confusion the person in charge of chasing and killing committed in his brain. He can obviously kill with one hit, and then go back far away. But he forced Lai for a few minutes in front of girls under the age of 5. And then, it's such a coincidence. Yakushi no Yu happened to pass by the neighborhood and noticed the child's cry, and saved the child from the Naka Shinobu's subordinates. Here's where some people think it's over. But the child was in the orphanage, always following behind the medicine master Yunayu, and was very close to the medicine master Yunayu, the dean's mother. Without saying a word, the medicine master Yunayu immediately gathered the dark members of a small team and slaughtered the entire small family that hid dirt. The incident was suppressed to a minimum, but eventually spread to many ears. Some clapped, others trembled. At this moment, after spending more than 10 days unharmed, they finally remembered that the predecessor of this Hokage assistant was a spy ace of the root. She has a bodhisattva heart and is able to release the radiance of a mother to her children. She also has a ruthless side, showing no mercy to the enemy and directly slaughtering the clan. This is simply a union of angels and demons. People who work in the Hokage office building naturally do not know what happened on which day. Because they know, many people are very careful, for fear that if they are not careful, their lives will be gone. Standing outside the door, the pharmacist Jinayu had a complicated mood. She knew that if someone else had done it, perhaps that effect would not have occurred. But she bounced back and forth between the two extremes of ruthlessness and benevolence, and the contrast was too great for many people to accept for a while. In fact, many people do not find out. In her daily office, except for Makoto Uchiha and Tsunade, who go straight to and from her when she communicates, the other two Hokage officials, Nara Shikaku and Kiki Sakumo, were more careful when dealing with the medicine master Nonoyu than with the Hokage. Nara Shikahiza, with his super high intelligence, is a little afraid of the sight of the Yakushi Nonoyu angel and the devil. God knows when the other party will transform into the devil. As a powerful shadow-level ninja, Kiki Sakumo serves as the head of the dark department while serving as the Naruto seed officer. He has seen a lot of dark sides. Fortunately, he found his own light in the endless darkness. This is the best way to prevent the members of the Dark Division from falling into the darkness and becoming an emotionless killing machine. The functions of the root and the dark part are not much different, and even the root is more dehumanizing than the dark part. In the dark part, someone will accidentally fall into the darkness and lose their true self. At the root, it is not an exaggeration to say that all members have completely lost themselves and fallen into darkness. But as one of the leaders, or a pharmacist who specializes in espionage, when his heart is covered with darkness, the remaining place of light is a confrontation with the darkness. resist, you are proud. But, how do you switch between darkness and light? It's too much not to put the darkness that can plunge people into purgatory. Therefore, even if Chimusakumo's strength is much higher than that of Yakushi Inayu, he admires and respects Yakushi Inayu from the bottom of his heart. The two Hokage officials did not dare to provoke, and the rest of the little people were opponents? Of course, it is not for nothing who can provoke the medicine master Inayu and make her coquettish. No, the other party is coming. Ahem, Inayu, you can come in. Bei Yan's voice came from inside, and there was a sense of unity between heaven and man without desire. Episode 64. Sniff. Yakushi Nono walked into Hokage's office and closed the door with his hand. She saw Kataya leaning against the window, and Tsunade was reviewing the documents with a serious face. Yakushi Inayu, who knew the inside story, rolled his eyes. Tsunade-sama, this is about the intelligence collected by the Border Intelligence Station. Please take a look. Well, put it aside, I'll watch it later. Tsunade sat a little twisted, trying to steady his breathing. It's just that the blush on his face can't go down. In other words, what are you looking for me for? Tsunade's beautiful eyes glared at Katayan. If Bei Yan didn't throw out a topic to break the slightly awkward atmosphere now, Bei Yan wouldn't want to stay at her house tonight. Medicine Master Inayu looked at Bei Yan with a smile in his eyes. With a smile, Bei Yan first appeased the fried Tsunade, and he was disdainful in his heart. It was not his initiative that he took the initiative, why in the end it was his own fault. However, as a beneficiary, he is not good to say anything. Therefore, he divided Tsunade's fault to the Master Nonoyu a little. Bei Yan also glared at Medicine Master Inayu. This glance not only did not make the Medicine Master Inayu converge, but even the smile at the corner of his mouth did not converge. Tsunade, who was hard to appease, fried again. Bei Yan, after all, I carry everything alone. After a little teasing, let's get down to business. This was also one of the reasons why Bei Yan came to find Tsunade. At this time, Uchiha Makoto also came to the Hokage's office, and it happened that the personnel were gathered. As for why there were no other two Hokage officers, well, he forgot. The Hyuga family will usher in an internal change, and the rules of the division and clan will no longer exist in a short period of time, leaving only the Hyuga family itself. Tsunade, Nono, and Makoto were shocked when they heard this. They didn't expect that without any news, the Hyuga family and Konoha's top family would have such a shock. Even Uchiha, where Makoto is located, was finally successfully run in after a long period of splitting. The leader in initiating the internal struggle is Hinata Hayashi, who has just taken over the seat of the head of the subfamily. They're dead. Before Bei Yan finished speaking, Tsunade directly scolded. As a shadow of Ichimura, when Tsunade looks at something, he analyzes it from multiple aspects and a higher perspective. In Tsunade, who knew how the Hyuga family was subject to the control of the sect, this was sending him to death. As long as the elders of the sect family urge the bird spell mark in the cage, then the people who are separated will not want to live, and finally die alive. Even the battle was spared. If this really happens, then the Hyuga family, which is an unobtainable member of Konoha's perception team, will be reduced again. Previously, because of the wanton shots between the Senjuju and the Senjukuma, the ninjas of the Sarutobi clan, the Shimura clan, the Mito clan, and the Sleeping clan, he was killed. This has caused the overall combat power of Konoha village to drop by about 1/5. If it continues, the Hyuga family will produce another moth, and the perception ninja will lose a lot of money, and finally it is likely to cause Konoha's perception team to plummet off a cliff. By that time, Konoha, who was discovered by the rest of the hidden village, is likely to usher in a fierce attack from the other party. Pillar ninja attrition, perception ninja attrition. Is this going to the defeated side? For Tsunade, who had just taken over as Hokage, she absolutely could not cause herself to become the first Hokage in Konoha's history to be defeated for any reason. This is ashamed of the expectations that the eldest grandfather and the second grandfather expected before leaving. Bei Yan gently calmed Tsunade, who had become irritable before he finished speaking. What do you think? I'm not done yet. Tsunade sorted out his somewhat anxious thoughts and let out a long breath. Say it. Hinata has found a way to lift the caged bird spell seal, and is now helping all the subclans to lift the caged bird, and then the caged bird will not be able to become a weapon to restrict them. The few people who had originally calmed down were shocked again. They more or less knew about the caged bird, and they also knew that the Hyuga clan and the separation had been going on for hundreds of years. The fact that the separation system has lasted for so long shows that the Zong family attaches great importance to the caged bird. Otherwise, the separation family would have already obtained the method of dissolution and was in charge. Now in this eventful autumn actually got it. Yen, it shouldn't be that you got it for them. Makoto looked a little nervous about the atmosphere and made a joke. Who knows? Bei Yan did not refute, just smiled. Nanoyu and Tsunade, who were still waiting for Bei Yan's rebuttal, turned their heads sharply and looked at Bei Yan again when they didn't hear the rebuttal that they should have deserved. Even Makoto pointed at Bei Yan and couldn't speak. Well, that's what I gave. Bei Yan lightly said words that could cause turmoil in the entire Hyuga family. For a long time, when the third daughter calmed down and understood Bei Yan's intentions, she fell silent. You say that after this time, the Hyuga family will completely favor us? Bei Yan nodded. That's right. Today's Konoha, Bei Yan has regarded it as his inheritance. In other words, all the combat power in this will belong to its own assets in the future. Now on the surface, it seems that Tsunade is in charge of the entire Konoha as Hokage, and it is actually not an exaggeration to say that she is acting for Bei Yan. Tsunade is from Hokuyen, Mikoto Uchiha is from Hokuyen, and Yukushi no Yu is from Hokuyen. Tsunade's prestige, the power of the Uchiha clan, and his own strength that can burst into the super shadow level at any time. In addition, Narashikahiza and Kiki Sakumo, two sensible, not rebellious and ambitious people. Bei Yan is the big boss behind the scenes. Then, to submit to some of the families that he secretly plotted against is equivalent to submitting to himself. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with informing the few people present. Woohoo dash. Tsunade's breathing was a little heavy, and even Mikoto Uchiha and Yukushi no Yu were swallowing their saliva. The strength of the Uchiha clan is strong, but the clan is always not enough. The rest of the families, the Kiki clan and the Nara clan, the Yamanaka clan, and the Akimichi clan, are completely biased towards Hokage. But the size of these families is not large enough, not enough. Then, after the subsequent extermination of the Uchiha clan, the Hinata clan, who was able to call itself the first family of Konoha. At this time, the complete submission of the Hokage is very beneficial for Tsunade's subsequent work. I took this aid. Tsunade clapped on the spot and decided to rescue Hinata's family. Of course, the reason for the bailout is also high-sounding. It is said that it is to protect the power of the Mesozoic generation of the Hyuga family. In fact, we all know each other. Who to send? Tsunade made a mistake. The internal strife of one family, it is best for other families and Hokage not to intervene rashly. Otherwise, it is easy to be attacked by other people. If there is a fight within your own family, you will unite with foreign forces to deal with your own people. Is this still an internal struggle of his own family? And by doing this, are you really not luring wolves into the house? Once this precedent is set rashly, it is easy for everyone to put themselves at risk. In the original work, Ape Flying Sun Chopper has not openly intervened in other family internal struggles. It's all hidden in the dark to deal with. Because he also knew that if Hokage intervened rashly, it would easily lead to unpredictable consequences. Just as Tsunade, Mikoto, and Nono Wu were thinking about how to sneak people over, Kitayama spoke. It is to be upright, it is to be vigorous, and there is no need to worry about the rest of the families rising up and attacking. If something happens, I will suppress it directly. Episode 65. Hearing Bei Yan's almost arrogant speech, Tsunade, Mikoto, and Nanoyu all looked at Bei Yan dumbfounded. As a person around Bei Yan, well, Nonoyu barely is. As Bei Yan sighed, they all know that Bei Yan's strength is not weak. Especially Tsunade. When he learned that he had summoned the thousand-hand pillar in his almost heyday at the beginning, he was also able to use some kind of power to suppress it. Tsunade thought it was incredible. But even so, Tsunade only thought that no matter how strong Bei Yan was, at most, he would only reach the peak level of the shadow level. The strength of the shadow level peak is not enough to suppress the rest of the families. At the very least, it takes the strength of her grandfather's thousand-hand pillars. At that time, between the thousand-hand pillars, it was a solid super shadow level dash. Super shadow class. It is already the strongest ninja that has appeared in the past tens and hundreds of years. And with the blessing of Muduan, ordinary super shadow level is not an opponent. Don't believe it? Tsunade shook his head. Mikoto shook her head. Yinayu was also shaking his head. Okay, show you something good. While speaking, Kitaya put his left and right arms around Tsunade and Mikoto's waist, and then clamped the medicine master Nonoyu in the center. Flying Thunder God technique unleashed. In the blink of an eye, they moved from Hokage's office to a relatively remote mountain forest. In the clearing of the mountains and forests, Bei Yan used the multiple shadow doppelganger technique to summon 4 shadow doppelgangers. The 4 shadow doppelgangers stand in 4 directions and seal at the same time. For Red Sun formation, the 4 Oppiang formation is an A enchantment ninjutsu. And if you want to release the 4 Chiyang array, the important thing is not to learn this ninjutsu. The core is to gather 4 ninjas with shadow level chakra power to cast together. According to Bei Yan's estimate, the amount of chakra of the shadow level powerhouse is between 10 and 50 calories. Bei Yan now has nearly 400 calories of chakra, divided equally to 4 shadow doppelgangers, each of which will get 80 chakras. Enough is enough. The 4 Chiyang array was capped, and all the areas were directly closed. Then, let's take a look at my strength. Bei Yan looked at the 3 women who were surprised, and a kaleidoscope of chakra eyes slowly appeared in his eyes. Extreme sublimation launch. Rumble. An hour later, Bei Yan returned to the Hokage office with the 3 daughters. At this time, Mikoto, Tsunade, and Nono Wu have not yet come to their senses. They kept looking at Bei Yan, and then gasped. They couldn't say anything else, but one thing they knew. As long as Bei Yan is around, even if Konoha is destroyed, it can still create brilliance again. Okay, I'll directly let the Dark Department dispatch, and Minister Chimu will personally lead the team. After Tsunade received a booster, he no longer had any scruples, and directly domineeringly announced that Hokage would intervene in Hinata's internal struggle. However, the members of the Dark Division do not intervene unscrupulously, but as an aid to Hinata's biggest worry is not whether they will be able to win the final victory, but whether they are worried about the main forces of their own separation. The people on the Zong family's side did not talk about martial virtue, and directly attacked the old, weak and sick of their separate families. This is unacceptable for people who are separated. They do not pin their hopes on the last remaining goodness of their people, nor will it be to speculate on the sinister nature of human nature. What they need is a stable rear. Otherwise, what if you force the Zong family, when the time comes, your side wins, and your family is gone? This is the reason why Hinata asked Bei Yan for help. However, Tsunade felt that since she was fully involved in the matter, she would not let this incident be accidental. Read violent novels, just go to Feilu Fiction Network. The so-called accident refers to the failure of Hinata to seize power. Could it be that it made Kiki Sakumo look like it used to be? Bei Yan did not give an opinion on who to dispatch. He was just a ruthless microphone tool, and now that the words had arrived, it was time for him to slip away. Later, I also made an appointment to go shopping with Uzumaki Gyoshinai. Then I'll go first. When the words fell, Bei Yan directly used the Flying Thunder God technique to leave. Seeing Bei Yan leave, the three daughters did not stay. The next thing is indeed that Bei Yan does not need to make a move. He is the existence of the Sea God Needle. Coming, with an order, the dark ninja who had just been added immediately appeared in Naruto's office, kneeling on one knee. Call Nara Shiguan and Chimu Shiguan to come over. There are important matters to discuss. 100,000 are urgent. Yes, Naruto-sama. The two ninjas did not dare to delay and immediately went to the homes of Kiki Sakumo and Nara Shikahiza as fast as they could. Kiki Sakumo is teaching his son Kiki Kakashi swordsmanship. When he saw his subordinates coming down to find him, indicating that it was Hokage who had 100,000 urgent matters to discuss, he was dressed in just 10 seconds. Kakashi, I'm sorry, next time I'm teaching you, and my mother is at home waiting for me to come back. Kiki Sakumo rubbed the head of his son Kiki Kakashi and smiled fondly. Anyone who sees this scene will gasp. You must know that Kiki Sakumo is called Konoha White Fang. The fundamental reason for this is that Kiki Sakumo used the white blade to kill a famous name in the Second Ninja World War. In the end, killing everyone in the hidden village was terrified. One person, a knife, killed everyone in the entire ninja world trembling. It was Kiki Sakumo. But it is such a terrifying man who is unexpectedly gentle when facing his son. And Kiki Kakashi is the last pure land in the darkness of Kiki Sakumo's heart. Let's go. Kiki Sakumo uses the instantaneous technique and the dark part to leave. Kakashi looked at his father's departing back, picked up the wooden knife on the ground, and brandished it again. He wants to be as strong as his father. The other side, Nara Shikahiza, who was playing chess with his good father, saw the dark members who appeared in front of him, and his whole person fell. Do your job well and don't live up to Naruto-sama's expectations of you. Nara Shikahiza's father saw that his son looked troubled again, and his brain case hurt a little. It's just the same fear of trouble as he was back then. Fortunately, Nara Shikaku only symbolically put on a rotten moment, and quickly adjusted himself. 100,000 urgent things? Okay, wait for me for 30 seconds. Say 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. Nara Shikahiza waved to his father, indicating that he might not be at home for dinner tonight, and then disappeared with the dark part. After Nara Shikahiza left, a wistful sigh came from the courtyard. Hope everything is well. Nara's father, who was once the head of the Sarutobi missionary staff, is now retiring home. For the current situation, he can still firmly grasp it. It was precisely because he saw the current situation clearly that he sighed. Another eventful autumn on Knife. Episode 66. When Sakumo Kiki and Shikahiza Nara arrive at Hokage's office and receive information that Ake is ready to help Hinata become a new Hyuga family, everyone is numb. Nara Shikaku was about to say something, but seeing the determined looks of Hokage and the two Hokage assistants, he immediately knew that it was difficult to persuade, especially when he knew that the person who facilitated this matter was Bei Yan. What Nara Shikahiza could do was to conscientiously complete all the subsequent arrangements. And Kiki Sakumo, the main responsibility is to take over the strategic arrangement that will be made by Nara Shikahiza. He is best at fighting, not strategizing. Of course, if it comes to strategy, Chimu Sakumo is not weak. Someone once saw Kakashi Kiki, the son of Kiki Sakumo, compared with Nara Shikamaru. Kakashi Kiki actually has an IQ and strategic thinking that is not inferior to Nara Shikamaru. Whether it is true or false is not clear for the time being, but this has already shown that the strategic IQ of Kimu Kakashi 690 is not weak. The sons are so strong, and Chimu Sakumo, who is stronger than his son, will only be even worse. On the other side, Bei Yan was shopping with Uzumaki Gyoshinai. On weekdays, Uzumaki Gyoshinai lives in the residence of the Thousand Hands clan, and occasionally comes to live in Bei Yan's house. What's wrong? Bei Yan saw that Uzumaki Gyoshinai was originally happy, but now his heart suddenly became heavy. The two came to sit on chairs with less traffic. Uzumaki Gyoshinai leaned tightly on Bei Yan. Yan, how can I improve my strength in a short period of time? Uzumaki Gyoshinai was stunned. Around her, almost every girl who has intersected with Bei Yan is stronger than her. Well, Sunset Red and Rin Noera do not count. Whether it is Tsunade, Mikoto Uchiha, Yakushi Nono, or Aki Uchiha, their strength is stronger than her. Sometimes, she even thinks, if Grandma Mito can't hold on one day, it's not impossible for her to receive the 9 tails. The original resistance to the human pillar force became eager when he knew that Bei Yan did not resist the human pillar force, and his own strength was too weak. Bei Yan put his arm around the sentimental girl in his arms. This situation has actually been evident since that day when Bei Yan was rescued from the siege of the country of sound and the rest of the hidden villages. In the following days, because the Senju pillar and the Senjukuma showed their power in the village, they single-handedly made the originally impulsive ninja world calm, abolished the 3rd generation of Hokage, and designated his granddaughter as the 4th generation Hokage. The process is very smooth and unhindered. This degree of strength suppression made Uzumaki Joshinai see his blood boiling. But how exciting she feels, how yearning she feels, how cruel the reality is. Today's Uzumaki Joshinai's strength is just particularly tolerant. Can she obtain this title, or has she awakened the unique natural ability of the Vortex clan? King Kong Blockade. Not only can it be used as a powerful weapon, but it can also create enchantments and seal-tailed beasts. It was precisely because Uzumaki Joshinai was able to possess the Vajra blockade that sealed the tailed beast that she was so valued. Otherwise, just by virtue of the bloodline of the Vortex clan, it is not as good. Well, you are already very strong, you are still young, you may be able to be promoted to the shadow level in a few years. Bei Yan did not joke. As the plot progresses, he checks in more and more every day. In the subsequent period, maybe it can directly promote the special shinobi to the shadow level powerhouse, or something to speed up training efficiency. That kind of super acceleration that only takes 1 minute of cultivation is worth 10 days and a half month. Of course, this is just Bei Yan's imagination. Bei Yan estimated that Vortex Joshinai should have eaten enough during this time. There is nothing to do, you can't go out of Konoha village, and you wander around the village all day, it's idle and sick. In addition to Uzumaki Joshinai, it is not the kind of character who can be idle, and the previous 3 generations of Hokage have trapped Uzumaki Joshinai for many years. Bei Yan scratched his head. He felt that if he took Uzumaki Joshinai out for a mission directly, her heart disease might be much better. Read violent novels, just go to Feilu Fiction Network. How many years? Shadow level? Is it as powerful as Tsunade's sister? Bei Yan nodded. Today's Tsunade doesn't think it's a shadow level. Among them, there is naturally the credit of Bei Yan. As a Hokage, you can lack political awareness, but you can't be weak in strength. Tsunade also worked hard. Bei Yan looked at the time and decided to give Uzumaki Joshinai a chance to divert his gaze. Then, Bei Yan went home with Uzumaki Joshinai. He wanted to let Uzumaki Joshinai feel the feeling of coming home. Congratulations to the host for successful check-in. Get Eternal Kaleidoscope, Sharingan Eye Energy *1, Chakra +1, Spiritual Power +1, Pupil Power +1. After a burst of comfort, a huge pupil power energy poured into Bei Yan's eyes. Bei Yan's kaleidoscopic writing wheel eyes appeared, and the gossip array diagram was spinning wildly. Slowly, in the gossip array diagram, a black and a red taiji fish-like pattern emerged. On the Bagua array map, several ancient texts also emerged. It feels good. Bei Yan looked into his eyes in the mirror, feeling the surging pupil power in them, and he was very satisfied. Originally, he thought that it would take a while to sign into the Eternal Kaleidoscope. Now it seems to be a stroke of luck. With the Eternal Mando Oding Sharingan, he no longer had to worry about going blind using the pupil technique of the Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Even as mentioned before, with the huge vitality attached to Muduan, the side effects of the kaleidoscope will be minimized. But he was still not at ease. Until the worries are completely solved. The left eye, Wheel of Life reenactment, the kaleidoscopic pupil technique that could have been copied, has been increased from the original 3 to 5. The right eye, Extreme Sublimation, it can still only be upgraded by 1 large level, but the consumed chakra has been adjusted, and the duration has become longer under the condition that the increased combat power remains unchanged. Originally, 100 cards of chakra could be used for 5 minutes, but now 100 cards can be used for 6 minutes. Don't underestimate it, just 1 extra minute. What can you do with a minute of super shadow level strength? It is okay to directly lay down the shadows of the 5 hidden villages. However, it will take a little time to kill. Well, at least 5 minutes or so. Bei Yan had the impression that the Uchiha spot in the state of rebirth of the dirt was with infinite chakra, and the strength of the almost complete physical state. When facing 2.8 against the Hokage of the 5 villages, they all fought for a long time. Of course, there were multiple factors in it at that time. My current chakra volume is close to 400 calories, and every 100 calories can last for 6 minutes of super shadow level. 400 calories, that's 24 minutes. Work hard, and it will soon reach an hour. Since it's been an hour, will the day be far away? Bei Yan shook his head directly. At that time, maybe Bei Yan has reached the level of super shadow without using extreme sublimation. 24 minutes, that's enough. Since he had been in such a long time of pseudo-invincibility, Bei Yan was able to do more. Looking at Joshinai, who was sleeping in his arms, and thinking of Yuri Hong and Noera Rin, who had previously agreed to go on a mission, Bei Yan felt that he should do something. Episode 67. It's time for the next day. When the entire Hyuga clan and even Konoha were in a state of silence, almost everyone fell asleep. Hinata separated, but there were many people. In the tormented waiting of the Hyuga family members such as Hinata, dozens of figures quietly sneaked into the Hyuga family from the outside world. When these dozens of figures appeared, Hinata knew who was coming through the white eyes. Unexpectedly. "It's you." Hinata looked at the ninja wearing a dark mask in front of him in surprise. Through the mask, Hinata knew that this was the Dark Minister Kiki Sakumo based on the flow of the other party's chakra and the contour of his face. Day difference, a long time. Kiki Sakumo saw Hinata coming to greet him and said hello softly. "Yes, long time no see." Hinata sighed. He didn't expect that the support that Bei Yan called him turned out to be the dark part directly under the Hokage. He once joined the Dark Ministry as a Hyuga splitter and spent some time under Kiki Sakumo. Now that Kiki Sakumo has arrived, it means that he will be a person of the Hokage line in the future. However, this is also what he would like to see. 15. He believed that with the existence of Bei Yan, a mysterious man, the current fourth generation of Hokage would definitely be able to protect the village safely. As for why there is this feeling, he is a man with white eyes. A casual look almost scared him to find a place to hide. "If it's you, I'll be relieved. Then, our family will be handed over to you." After Hinata spoke to everyone, he solemnly thanked Kiki Sakumo and other members of the Dark Department, and then quickly left. The separation of the family is not a pouring nest, and there are still some middle and upper patients among those who remain. After Hinata left, Kiki Sakumo did not delay in the slightest, and immediately ordered everyone to wait at the weak points of the attack, and he himself stands in the center of the division. If there is any need for support on the periphery, he will kill the opponent with lightning speed. On the other side, the clan land. The location of the clan family is separated from the division by a distance, which not only separates the division from the clan rule. Geographically, it is also divided into two areas, the division and the clan family. They are separated by several kilometers. At this time, within the zone family territory, occasionally someone patrolled by, opening their eyes to scan. One of the ninjas yawned and shook his head a little lazily. Just when he was most relaxed, a figure flashed behind him, his hand knife fell straight down, and the people of the Hyuga clan sank to the ground. The person who came did not directly start the killing, but first let the other party pass out. For these ordinary clan members, the attacking people did not want to cause too much killing. As long as the few elders in the core are destroyed, then everything can fall into place. Because the perception ability of the white eye is too strong, the people who are separated continue to outflank the outside with the ability of the white eye. Some of the Hyuga clans were separated to attack the location of the elders of each sect. Because everyone does not have the restriction of the caged bird spell seal, coupled with the accumulation of resentment in their hearts, the aggressiveness is greatly improved. The people who divided the family whose comprehensive strength was already stronger than the zone family were like wolves entering the flock. In the case of mental arithmetic and no intention, everything went very smoothly. Until, who are you? Separation? Enemy attack. As one of them got up and went to the bathroom, he noticed something unusual. In the confusion, he noticed that a figure suddenly appeared behind him. With the vigilance and strength of his ninja, he subconsciously resisted the attack and was not stunned at the first time. And in this short period of time, this upper shinobu of the Hyuga clan opened his eyes and found that the person in front of him was a clan member he had seen in the split family. He shouted loudly on the spot. But soon, a sharp knife pierced the opponent's chest directly. One knife to death. The man with the knife looked at the zone family in front of him, his eyes full of hatred. Read violent novels, just go to Feilu Fiction Network. He could never forget that when his father fell, the demon stood in front of him. It is clear that they are people of the same race, but they are in the same room. Now, the clan members who killed their relatives also fell in front of him, and even Hinata Ryu's soft fist could not be released. Haha. Father, I have avenged you. He wiped his tears with his hands stained with the blood of the zone family, and his heart was full of the pleasure of revenge. Then, he flashed again and disappeared in place. There are many such examples from the time you set foot in the residential circle of Nakashinobu or Kamishinobi. However, there are relatively few examples of deaths, most of which are incapacitated. It was precisely because of their battle that the alarm of the entire Hyuga family was completely sounded. Enemy attack. With a shout, the lights of the entire Hyuga clan lit up. When the originally sleeping Hyuga clan ninja opened his eyes and looked at the invaders who did not know who was dead or alive, they actually had a brief period of stunned. Just because these invading enemies turned out to be the same as them, they all had white eyes. Split. It turned out to be a separation. Why? Why did the subclans attack us? Aren't we of the same race? In the same room, flesh and blood relatives. Do you want to risk the world's condemnation and completely eliminate your own people? The power of the Hyuga family was originally stronger than the comprehensive strength of the Hyuga family. This is basically inseparable from the fact that Hyuga separates from the family when doing tasks and going to war on weekdays. After they had accumulated hundreds of years of grudges, the feud between the separated family and the zone family had long been irresolvable. Under the blessing of such strength, the people who have separated the family will say a few more words at first, and finally slowly fall silent. When they encounter those who can only attack strongly, they will do their best to fight. As for whether it can be left alive in the end, it can only be left to fate. Only 680 wanted a few sect elders to be annihilated, and they could stop fighting, and the pillar of the split family, led by Hinata, has already faced the 5 clan elders. They hunted the 5 almost desperately. Interestingly, there has been so much movement in the outside world, and no one has appeared in the house where the patriarch is. Nor did any of Hinata's children attack. The internal strife of the Hyuga family made the entire Konoha family wake up at the moment when it officially started. The patriarchs of each family and some of the pillar ninjas jumped onto the roofs of their homes. While checking the situation, turn on the first level combat readiness status. They don't know if there is an enemy attack. However, when they saw a silent figure standing on the Hokage office in the Hokage building, everyone subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. Konoha's Hokage was still in Hokage's office, and there was no fighting. The entire Konoha did not sound the battle alarm either. Then it is very likely that it will be civil strife between families, or even family infighting. That direction. Hiss. It's the Hyuga family. When someone learned that the place where the battle took place was the Hyuga clan, their eyes widened. They have a premonition in their hearts. After this battle, the Hyuga clan will usher in earth-shaking changes. Episode 68. In the Hyuga clan land, the blue chakra is wantonly released. Almost every second someone falls to the ground. It stands to reason that a scuffle between a few hundred ninjas will eventually lead to large-scale terrain deformation. But now in the clan land, basically no one uses a wide range of ninjutsu. Moreover, whether it is the people of the divided family or the sect family, they deliberately avoid the old and weak women and children. Young children are the future of the Hyuga clan, and even if it is an internal fight, it cannot be easily harmed. For the Zong family, the children of the Zong family are their future. For the separation of families, when this fight is successful, not making a move on the children will relieve them of a lot of hatred and trouble. Hinata, you dare to attack the Zong family. It's really against the sky. The 5 elders of the Hyuga clan finally gathered. Their eyes were like poisonous snakes that chose people to eat, and they wanted to slaughter all the people who had invaded the sect family. Great elder, what do you say so much? Directly activate the caged bird, otherwise you really think that the caged bird is used for decoration. The second elder had the most violent temper. He no longer wanted to endure it. Who gave the courage to split the family to resist them? It was simply against the sky. And a little angry, they also activated the caged bird spell mark, without hesitation. Only the 5 current elders and patriarchs know and use the activation technique of the caged bird spell seal, and once the rest of the people steal it, they will be divided into separate families and planted with caged birds. This is a forbidden ninjutsu used by the high level of the Hyuga family to restrict the people of the clan and control the divided clan to fight for themselves. However, when the 5 elders used the caged bird spell seal, they wanted to see Hinata lying on the ground in pain and begging for mercy. But they found that the people who were separated by Hinata on the opposite side were looking at them with a playful face. Before the great elder could come to his senses, a long knife pierced through his heart. The sudden change made everyone jump away in horror. But this was not the end. While the second elder and the 4th elder were dodging, they were also pierced through the heart with a long knife from behind. The 3 elders and the 5th elders, on the other hand, were safe and sound. Everyone looked at the 3 elders who were pierced through their hearts. Behind them, a Hyuga clan member with an indifferent face held a long knife, and then directly pulled it out. Suddenly, blood was like a fountain. Burst. Although the great elder, 2nd elder, and 4th elder were old, their strength was still barely able to reach the upper ninja level, and they did not die so quickly. Just caught off guard by being pierced in the heart because they were all focused on the separated people in front of them. That's what got it. The 3 shinobi who backstabbed the 3 elders instantly came to the front of Hinata. The foreheads of the 3 then fell. They could clearly see that the caged bird spell mark on the heads of the 3 was slowly fading, and finally disappeared completely. 4. Why? The great elder was unable to utter the last word, and then fell to the ground with a bang. The other 2 elders also fell to the ground with a large area of blood because of the large area of their hearts, and they twitched a few times and never lived again. Why? The remaining 2 elders hurriedly glanced at the few guards behind them, and only when they found that there was no disadvantage to him, did they let go of their hearts. However, they kept a distance from their guards and kept their eyes open. You ask me why? The Hyuga clan who successfully assassinated the great elder, the other hand holding the knife, caressed his forehead, and a mockery appeared at the corner of his mouth. Just because I disobeyed your orders, isn't it normal for you to plant a caged bird for me and control me to do things for you? The other 2 were silent, but the look is the same as the wide-eyed people who speak. At this time, everyone has probably guessed the cause of the matter. It should be the grand elder, 2nd elder, and 4th elder of the Hyuga sect family, and in order to gain absolute loyalty and obey their subordinates, they directly used the caged bird to control them. You know, they were members of the 8 Classics clan before. Previously, it was subject to caged birds. Now that the caged bird has been completely eliminated, isn't it normal for them to kill those who control them in turn? When the 2 elders heard this, their hearts relaxed for a moment. And at this moment, the 2 ninjas beside him directly used soft fists, and before the two great elders reacted, they directly used the Bagua empty wall palm to blast the two away. When the blast flew in midair, two more ninjas found the right time and used Bagua mountain breaking strike, hitting the hearts of the two with one punch, and then hitting the heads of the two with another punch. Rumble. The two figures bounced up in the end, and finally hit the ground without a sound. The rest of the ninjas who were loyal to the elders were about to explode when they saw this scene. What happened again? Read violent novels, just go to Feilu Fiction Network. Before they could continue to explode, someone solved their confusion. I've already heard that these two old guys are going to use the caged bird to control us during this time, and if they didn't pass by accidentally, they really don't know about their plot. The people of the third elder and the fifth elder were relieved to see that the person who had originally served had died. When the third elder and the fifth elder conspired, they did not say who they wanted to plant the caged bird, but it was because they didn't say it that the members of the guards who the two overheard by chance were terrified. As members of the clan family, how could they not know what kind of life the separated family was living? In the past, I could think that I was a member of the sect family, and I enjoyed myself and pretended not to see, but when disaster strikes, they don't sit still. It just so happened that Hinata came to the door. It was originally a temptation. However, after inadvertently expressing his meaning, several members of the 5 elder guards participated, especially the henchmen of the 3 elders and the 5 elders. All of them had no opinion. In this way, Hinata made this operation run smoothly by counterattacking. Seeing all 5 elders dead, Hinata walked to the strongest side. I don't know whether intentionally or unintentionally, all the sub-clans who returned to Hyuga Hinata, as well as some of the people who were rebelled, all gathered behind and on both sides of Hinata. Only the first few former elder guards and henchmen remained. Give you a chance to restrain your own chakra, and submit to me, Duang Zhao. The extremely ninja, who had already unfolded advanced Hyuga physical techniques such as Bagua soft fist and double lion collapse strike, sighed lightly and chose to tie up and grab it. Soon, the people of the Hyuga clan directly stepped forward to seal their chakra cave. As a wide-eyed family who can see acupuncture points in the human body, they are professional in sealing chakra flow, and because of their familiarity, they are more able to bind their own people. With the core defeated, the rest is not worth mentioning. Except for the 10 members of the Hyuga family, the rest of the Hyuga family members scattered to other places, hyping the fact that the 5 elders were dead. Hinata, on the other hand, walked towards the residence of the patriarch where Hinata Hayashi was. Hinata Hayashi didn't make a move, because they had already made a negotiation. Now, it is Hinata who has not shown up for the ninja to come out and deter the rest of the restless clan people. The other side, just as the battle was about to end, Bei Yan's figure flashed within the Hyuga clan.